Hello, welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug. And if you were unfortunate enough to see the last two videos I posted this evening with this build, I can only apologise for the sound quality. I'm re-recording them. So, as I'm re-recording them, we're going to combine them into one video, so it's a lot easier for everyone to get the information in. So, I've been working on a couple of builds. We're going to start off with making the Surge Staff work. So, Surge Staff has been nerfed quite heavily. It no longer jumps as far as it did, and it no longer stagger stuns everything continuously. And I will just show you what I mean. As you can see, it hits 2, maybe 3 enemies. But what they have done, they have increased the amount of damage it does. So this thing does actually hit like a goddamn truck. But is it worth it without the stagger stun that it was known for? Possibly. This is what we're going to do to try and make it work. So this is the Surge Force stuff. This is what I'm using on it. Unyielding Flak, Warp Nexus and Warp Flurry. The Demios Blaze Force Sword as always. And the talent build I'm using for it looks something like this. So we're heading over here to try and stack up more crit and a bit more damage. We are missing out on a few toughness nodes, but I will show you what we're doing down the bottom to try and mitigate this. We're picking up Brain Burst, both points in it. Heading down for Prescience to gain more crit. Just want to increase the damage that the staff is actually doing. Grabbing this to give us a bit more survivability with this amount of crit. And we're picking up Telekinetic Shield. So with this, we are actually getting quite a bit of survivability. And it allows us to take advantage of the slowness of Brain Burst. We don't quite have the range, but we can spam the staff a lot more for that 2 or 3 hit big damage. And we're going for the Dome, just for extra protection, and Sanctuary, because you know, it's nice to be nice to people. Sometimes. We're grabbing some more crit over here. Grabbing Warp Rider to get some more damage. And we're coming all the way down here, picking up Warp Siphon, skipping out on the Inner Fire because we're not using it, to Warp Battery, so we've got more stacks of it. So this does make us a little bit of a sentry gun, but we can kind of afford to be now with our big old bubble. But as you can see, it does stagger a little bit, but not nearly as much as it did. But with the... Sorry, I've got a blank on what they're called. Warp Siphon. It is stacking up damage, and also we do Brain Burst now as we hit things. So you can just keep on spamming it, and she will Brain Burst. And as you can see, we've got 6 stacks of Warp Siphon already. And we can use that to our advantage to make our Brain Bursts very unpleasant. And the bubble just keeps us nice and safe. But is it worth using the staff? It's still quite nice. Yeah, they've taken some of the functionality out of it without the chain stuns. And what they've done is they've taken it off of the staff and they've put it into Smite. So Smite now basically does exactly what the Surge Staff used to. Sorry. So if you want to be able to chain stagger and chain stun on the cheap, Smite is your go-to. I have tried it quite a lot. I don't really like it. But you might get a bit more mileage out of it than I did. But this is how I'm now building around the Surge Staff. Is it perfect? Probably not. Am I going to change it? Probably. But we do have a few other builds that I've been working on. So that's the Surge Staff. Now if you want to go the Flame Staff, the Purge Task Force Staff, looks something like this. Again, we are going Brain Burst, but there is a reason for that. We're heading down here because we want all of the Perilous Combustions, Wildfire, one with the Warp. We want Venting Shriek. So this is a very classic pre-patch 13 Psyker build. This will work exactly how your old Psyker used to, just with a lot more damage and a lot more fire. We're picking up the crit, but we're not picking up Kinetic Deflection because we just don't have the points for it. And we're coming down here and again picking up Warp Siphon. But with this, we are using a slightly different sword. We're using the Ilias Mark V with Blazing Spirit and Slaughterer because we want all those lovely, lovely stacks of Soul Blaze. So the entire point of this build is to set everything on fire all the time. And the reason we've gone with Brain Burst instead of Assail is, well, the reason I've gone for it is because we have a very limited range with the flamethrower. Our main job is going to be horde control. Basically control everything up to Carapace. We can't do a huge amount to Carapace, as you can see, but we have that Brain Burst in there to do exactly that, to pop them when we need to. And also, when there is a sniper we can't get to, we can deal with it. And of course, we're using Venting Shriek because when we overload ourselves by playing too much with fire, and be like, oh no, our perils are too high, everything's getting scary. Press F to not die. Very simple build. Works exactly how the old Psyker worked, but it worked for a reason. I'll give you another look over the build, so if you want to use it, this is where we go. Just going to slowly scroll down so that you can see what I've done. You can gaze upon the madness that is my build. As I say, these aren't completely definitive cookie cutter builds. This is just what I'm trying out, seeing what works. So I'm doing the testing so you don't have to. And last but not least is the Voidstrike staff. So the first video I did was with the Voidstrike. The Voidstrike has been just silly proportions now. Hang on a minute, that's not a Voidstrike. What's going on here? That's a Voidstrike. Ah, it was being slow. Don't I look foolish? Anyway, Voidstrike, as I was saying, has been buffed quite substantially. It is different from the other two because it actually requires you to aim, but it's quite a fun staff to play with. It does allow you to do some sniping and exploding. And we are using Assail with this. Assail is quite hilarious if you haven't played it yet. I highly advise trying it out. So how are we building around this? We're heading down the right side of the tree, picking up Soul Stealer and a few of the other toughness talents. We're grabbing Assail, coming down to Prescience for the crit, because what we want, the Trauma Staff to crit a lot. Because we want to dump perils. We want to hit weak spots, and we want to dump the peril by hitting the weak spots. And critting just helps with that. So we're grabbing Prescience, coming down here, Empathic Evasion and Anticipation, it's just a bit more survivability. Grabbing Scryer's Gaze for the increased crit chance. We're not grabbing Puppet Master because, you know, with this build, screw coherency. But we are grabbing Warp Rider and Kinetic Deflection for a bit more survivability for ourselves. And we're grabbing Psionics. This will make our Assail cost less and do more damage, which is great. So let's pop some things and see some damage. You want to be aiming for weak spots, but you don't want to be doing that. That's the problem with not having Venting Shriek. If you overreach, you will explode. This is why we want to be aiming for weak spots as much as we can. They try to aim high and aim for the head. Because with this, we're using Transfer Peril, which quells 8% of your peril on a weak spot hit. So aim for those weak spots as much as you can to dump as much peril as you can. There is a talent in here. Am I using it? I don't know. Oh, I am. Reality Anchor. I switched over from using Precognition to Reality Anchor because it now also reduces your perils generated by 20% more active. This just gives you more uptime and a little bit more wiggle room to be able to like throw stuff out and play a little bit safer. Although if you're more comfortable with your peril levels and generally what you're doing, take Precognition. This is just because I've played the vanilla Psyker way too much with the Venting Shriek. Occasionally I forget that my F ability doesn't save me. So yeah, this is the Voidstrike build. Well, it's a work in progress. Even. I have tried it with Warp Siphon. It's a bit off. Seems to work better with Empowered Psionics. But see what you think. Give them a try. Let me know what you think. If you have a better build, I'd be happy to try it out. Post it in the comments. If it's great, I'll make a video on it and I'll share it with everyone. And I will obviously credit you if it is your build. I will preach your name to everyone. But still, if you've enjoyed the content on the channel, guys, please like, subscribe, hit the little bell for notification. It really does help us out. And until the next video, take it easy and I will see you later.